G'day and welcome to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. Today we're doing an emergency podcast talking about the carnage that has hit our defensive lines, all the injuries and the options. Let's go!
She's done it from nowhere. Hoisting the goal from inside the 10. Sheed from the boundary. Dusty. Round Petty. Petrarca. Oh, wow. How good is that? The legend becomes immortal.
G'day and welcome again to the Ball Boys AFL Fantasy Podcast. I'm your host, Mitch Casey, and you can find me on Twitter at Ball Boys Fantasy, joined once again by Luke. How are you, mate?
I'm good, mate. Emergency podcast today.
Emergency pod, yeah.
We're bloody scrambling around. We were a bit like Ollie Florent, actually. We came early, didn't we? we thought...
Upgrade season!
we were ready to declare upgrade season. We wanted to get the content out to you straight away on Sunday, and it was just an absolute shit show after that.
Yeah.
So we scrambled back in for an emergency
tested the
podcast.
fantasy gods and they went, no.
Mate, lucky we live close to each other, otherwise it might not be possible. But yeah, we're back in, and we're going to have a bit of a discussion today about some defenders. So
we're recording this podcast on a Wednesday afternoon. Normally we wouldn't record until Friday, but of course, what team plays on Thursday night? The
Blue Baggers.
The Blues. So Doherty needs to be traded, obviously. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He is someone you definitely need to be trading. So traded out on Thursday night. And also the Will Day news as well.
Yeah.
Who's currently being, his suspension is being challenged.
Yeah.
It's
we'll see what happens. The best part about all this, honestly, was we obviously heard about Doherty, and then you got home from work last night, and this guy was just smug as they come because he's not a Doherty owner.
Yeah, I'm no Doherty.
He was happy as, and I got the privilege of breaking the Will Day news to you, which just wiped the smugness off your face. Didn't it?
Ridiculous, man. I still maintain that was two. The fact that he got 2
and
Gary Rowan got 1, just salt in the wound.
It seemed a little bit strange, and another great thing about this is that now there's a potential scenario where Warple could be a hold after you just were karate chopping him left, right, and centre on Sunday's podcast.
Yeah. Actually, I've just seen the news as well that Will Day and Gary Rowan's tribunal will be set for tomorrow night. So not...
Actually?
I thought it was tonight,
what?
but Mitch Cleary has just...
Has that just come out? I thought I saw the Warn Dog
It was
tweeted
tweeted an hour ago by Mitch Cleary that it was going to be tonight, but Mitch Cleary has clarified that will be now tomorrow night. So likely not going to find out until potentially after the start of the Carlton game. So look, the good news is with this edit trade button, we have a little bit of flexibility, but... you just make sure that Doherty is traded and he is out of your team by Thursday night. And then we'll walk through some of the options that are happening. Goodness. So it's all happening. And on top of that, today, Jared Witts was also confirmed that he is going to be missing this weekend's game, continued on with soreness. Yeah. So for any people that maybe missed the news on the weekend, decided to hold him thinking he'd be out only 1 week with soreness.
Poor buggers.
They had a Ned Moyle or someone like there to cover him. Look, he'll still be there, Ned Moyle that is. But it's just salt in the wound. And obviously we've got some rumours going around about Jinby missing and, Wilmot might potentially be out with the return of Daniel Rich.
It's calamity.
Shambles.
It is absolute shambles. I agree. So we'll kind of break this next kind of discussion down into a few different categories. We're going to firstly talk about people who own both Doherty and Day, and what you can potentially do there with a couple of different scenarios to play out. Then people that are in your boat, just the Day owners, and then we'll talk about people that maybe own just Doherty and not Day, and then the people that don't own either. Well,
we'll just
fuck you
off,
guys, you lucky pricks. They've just dodging bullets left, right, and centre. So. Talk to us about people who own both to start with, Day and Doc. What are we thinking?
So, obviously, I think of the priority list, Doherty is the highest priority.
Yep.
So, I think we're looking at trading him. The good news is, and of course, obviously, having a forced trade is never a good thing. But the good news is that Doherty is an expensive player. He didn't get injured like in the first quarter and pop. Like I know he had a disappointing score, but he didn't pop out like a 26, like a Tristan Jerry. Sorry, Luke, again.
Just keep drive-bys, mate. These drive-bys getting hit every time.
So he's got a bit of money on his head.
Yep.
He's still the most expensive defender in the game. So you've got the pick of the bunch. All right. So any player that you trade to, you're going to make money. I think the two players that I have the most confidence in replacing him as a like-for-like kind of a guy, as that sort of top 3 defender player, is a Nick Dacos and a Jordan Dawson. I think are the two players that you're looking at if you want that premium, uber premium defender. I think,
and that's the most likely scenario for me. I've been pretty well publicised by me that the mental health struggles of not owning Dacos are just ridiculous. So I think that's likely where I'm going is Dr. Dacos.
Yes, because I think obviously if you had Doherty, you didn't want to trade him out while he's healthy. But this is your ticket to get a player like that, and it doesn't feel like you're paying overs because you're still doing a downgrade to him.
Yeah.
You know, you're making 45k or whatever it is. So you know, there's a little bit on that, and it's still someone who potentially Dacos could have outscored Doherty the rest of the season anyway.
Yeah.
So you know, try to view it that way, and obviously it's someone who's been super popular and hurting you a lot in the past, so you're removing that pain.
Yep.
So I think that's definitely a fair option. The other side of things with the Will Day is where it gets a little bit interesting to me. So there's a couple of different options that we've got. So if you have Will Day and Doherty and have dollars in the bank, and Will Day is only a 1 week if they get it moved down to 1 week. If you have the money to make an upgrade instead of trading Will Day, I would be tempted to do that upgrade and hold Will Day for a week.
Okay, and you're thinking that might be a strategy because then you theoretically should be a week ahead of everyone else in getting your backline sorted if other people have to shift on day.
So the trouble with Will Day as opposed to Doherty is Will Day is not super expensive. He's 727,000, so price at 85.
Yep.
That's not been reflective of what he's been doing. He's been going 95, 100 plus this season, so you're not getting a fair price on a Will Day like you are with a Doherty. So to get him to a like-for-like player, you're going to have to actually find money and get him up. So, and the other thing is, so if you're finding that money to get up, you might as well get someone like a rookie or a mid-pricer like a Warple. I know he's probably going to see a better role moving forward, at least while Will Day's out. But if you're trading Will Day to another premium versus getting a mid-pricer or a rookie up to a premium, the net result is the same amount of premiums on your field.
Yeah.
But in the second option, come next week when Will Day comes back and you're still able to do another upgrade, you're now 1 premium ahead of the person who then traded a Will Day.
I like the idea of holding him, and maybe that's because I'm personally in that scenario. So I'm the guy that you talked about that can do dock down to, let's say,
you've got a bit of cash in the bank.
I've got cash in the bank, which means I could turn, to be honest, I could actually turn Constable into Dawson as well. So I could go dock.
Could you really?
Yeah.
Jeez, must be nice over there, mate.
Must be nice. Are you taking the piss? Mate, ranked. I won't say what I'm ranked, but it's disgusting. Give me a spell.
Yeah. No.
But, I've got an obnoxious amount of... You got me, yes, you did. You got an obnoxious... Jeez,
If you've got a lot of money sitting in your bank,
you could do that.
We were keen to do last week and cash up for the upgrades this week, and that is the advantage of doing those sort of cash up moves, because even if there is an injury here, you still have the ability to, with the cash in there, make that upgrade. So
let's say you don't have dollars. Where are you going with Day? You go Doc down to Dacos or Dawson, and then you don't have dollars. So are you doing Day to Stewart?
Without dollars, it's tough. I think Stewart is the guy that you're probably going there if you don't have him already. I think that if you were to put a price tag, obviously Stewart's price very similar. I think it's a $6,000 gap. So in that situation, you're getting a player who you expect to produce similar to what Day was going to do at a similar price. So I think that's an okay play. If you already have Stewart,
this is where
it gets pretty tricky.
So let me throw a couple at you, because we actually didn't talk about this one off air. But so some people in that scenario might just go Doc down to Dacos or Dawson, sort that side of it, and then maybe think about going Day down to like a mid-tier person like, let's say, Hunt. Would you feel almost better about pocketing an absurd amount of cash and going Day down to, like, if the bread is named Chibata? Would that be absurd?
Yeah, I wouldn't be doing that.
Okay.
I'd be more inclined to.
What are you going to go there?
Just do I'd even be more inclined to do like a rookie fix up in that situation. Maybe someone like an Alan Davies or something like that.
So you still want to hold Will Day in that scenario?
Yeah, the only scenario that I wouldn't hold Will Day is that if I don't have the cash, but I don't have a Tom Stewart and it's a week.
Don't have the cash, yeah.
So if I don't have Stewart and I don't have the cash to do anything else with my other trade and make an upgrade, then I'm okay with ticking off Will Day to Stewart.
Yeah.
Because it's a like for like.
We've established that part. Much. But what if we've got Stewart?
But if you have Stewart, then you're having to find to get because the options we're really looking at are Dawson, Dacos, Stewart are probably the big options there.
I don't really. People have been talking about different mid prices, and I just not sure if I really like it this week.
Hunt, if we talk about Hunt, and he's a guy that obviously you jumped on last week, but you jumped on when he was priced at 55. He's priced 518, which is priced at 60. I think that he's probably a 70s guy. So you're thinking about maybe there's 10 points of upside, but the difference is there. A Tom Stewart is priced at 85. He can probably go 95. So he's also 10 points upside, but he's a guy that you're going to keep.
Yeah.
So there's a big difference in someone being 10 points under at a mid-pricer level versus being 10 points under at a premium level. So that's why Tom Stewart's so enticing, because he's the same amount of value, in my opinion, to a Hunt, but he's not going to be someone you have to trade out later, whereas Hunt is. He's going to be a guy that at any point could drop a 50 or 60. His cash gen will stall and you're going to have to make a trade anyway. So I think personally, I think that Hunt was a last week play.
Yeah.
And this week, and this is from someone who was keen to get him into my side. I was very keen to get him in there, and I would have done it had Witts not been dropped or injured, sorry. I think it's a bit late on players like that, personally. But look, if Hunt goes 80, then it's fine. But I just don't see him doing that.
No, I'd probably agree with you on that one. But we still haven't answered. What do you do if you've already got Stewart? Do you know what I mean? You said rookie fix up, but okay, so let's say you do drop down to Dacos.
First of all, you have a look at Cowan. You see what he scores on Thursday night. Yeah. If he scores like a 50 plus, you just cop that for a week.
Let's go Doomsday. He scores shit. Because you have to then you're forced to trade Day, aren't you? Because you're then going to be fielding Cowan, Wilmont, Jimby. So
if you've got no money, let's say. So what is a Doherty down to a Dawson net you? That's like Dawson's 860. Yeah. So that'll make you 60k. What's Will Day? He's 727. So if you're going up to 790, low 800s, let's say, who does that get you? So that can get you to a Rioli, Angus Brayshaw. What are your thoughts about Angus Brayshaw? Because he's someone that we were keen on in the preseason.
Yeah, I'd rather not talk about him because of how keen we were and how poorly he's doing.
Yeah, he's been shit, hasn't he? Especially the last 2 weeks. He started with a 98, 86. That's all fine. But then Sydney, he scored 74. West Coast, 66.
Do you think Melbourne have just decided to go a different direction in terms of his role versus other people's roles?
I want to have a look at his kick-in numbers, actually. While I do that, a part of me thinks that, it's just been a small sample size. West Coast, obviously, they just smashed, and we were watching that game. It was very, very contested. Not a lot of ball for those outside types. The Sydney matchup in Sydney is always a tough one for defenders to score against. He has a run coming up: Essendon, Richmond, North Melbourne, Gold Coast, Hawthorn. That's 5 easy teams.
We would have said that about West Coast, but before the game. Obviously, in hindsight, you can say the game was very contested, those kind of things. But we sort of would have said that beforehand. Yeah, I don't know.
He's risky, though.
I wouldn't be going there, but...
Yeah, but I'm talking, this is obviously the trickiest situation. Would you rather Rioli than a...
I'd take Rioli at the moment.
You would?
Yeah, but I wouldn't feel confident taking, choosing out of either of those guys. So, what about... We'll talk a little bit about the next scenario, and if anything pops up, we'll discuss it. But
my thing is that if you already had Stewart and you don't have much cash, well, chances are that you are pretty deep in your defence anyway. Yeah. So it might just mean that you've got to play an extra rookie on field for this week, hopefully, and you hold Will Day, he comes back next week, and hopefully with your other trade, you can at least pocket a little bit of cash and make a serious upgrade the next week. I still think that that's a fair play to make, because a lot of people will be in a tough boat this week. Yeah. A lot of people will be down some players, and it's a long season. You're going to make you're going to make it up later on. Because chances are, if you don't have much money, you've got Tom Stewart in. You probably brought Tom Stewart in last week.
Yeah.
You probably upgraded him from a mid-pricer last week, which means that you might be ahead of those other guys like myself who have a bit of cash, like yourself who have a bit of cash. We didn't really make an upgrade last week per se. So it's not like you're too far behind in that point of view. But it is a tricky situation.
Owners that, just day owners. So this is you
me.
fall into this boat. So you don't have Doherty, you've just got Day. So you were letting me know off air that what you're most likely to do is hold Day if it's a week.
What I want to do is I want to hold Day.
Yeah.
Now I have the money that I can go someone like a Warple up to a Tom Stewart. I could go a Warple up to a Dacos if I wanted to. I could nearly do a rookie up to a Tom Stewart. I could do like a Hollands up to Tom Stewart. I could do a Jinby up to Tom Stewart. Or those kind of a type. I think that I would rather do that than trade out Will Day, who looks like he could potentially be a top 6 defender the way he's going. So I'm hesitant that if it is 1 week, that I don't want to trade that out if I can already do an upgrade. Because like I said before, if I go a Hollands to a Tom Stewart and I put Will Day on my bench, I've got the same amount of premiums that I would have if I just traded Will Day to a
So do you think you're more likely to go for Warple up, or do you think you're more likely to try and stretch a rookie? Like, would the ideal scenario for you this week be if Jimby got rested, because then everyone else would hurt, but you just go Jim, like it was already part of your plans?
Yeah, if Jimby was rested, I'd just trade him out.
And that probably works for you.
Yeah, that'd be great for me.
A lot of people.
Yeah, for a lot of people it'd be tough, but I'm undecided on that one. I'll have to make that decision because Hollands would be the guy that I would get up.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'd be a Warple. I think I'm tempted to do the Hollands move just because I should never be optimistic about James Warple, but I'm optimistic that it at least helps him. Who do they come up against? They got the Giants this week who... against Essendon last week, there was a lot of ball to be had. It was fairly low.
It's less about who they play, and it's more about the fact that Will Day's not playing.
Yeah,
for Warple.
I'm also just scarred by the fact that he's just not a good player. Yes. So
if you only own Day and you don't have any dollars in the bank, then I think the simplest thing there to do is to go Day to Stewart.
If you don't have Stewart, I think that's the simplest move.
Especially if it's 2 weeks. If it's 2 weeks, most people are probably trading. If it's 1 week, maybe you've got another scenario, in the works where you just say, okay, well, I'll just sit on Day. But Day and no dollars, you're probably just getting across to Stewart. I think it's like 5-6K to upgrade.
Yeah, because I'm still, if you can, and I'll talk my reasoning behind this is because like last year, for example, this was the round that I think last year we had a few more rooks coming through at this time. So last year I actually did a double downgrade at this time of the year in preparation to trade in someone like a Callum Mills, who that week was the guy that launched me up the rankings with his 160. So it's the kind of round where the rookies are not quite fattened enough. You can maybe get an upgrade from a mid-pricer up to a premium, but it's pretty tough to do a rookie down, rookie up. Yeah. So if we can make a little bit of cash and have a bit of cash going into next week, that is the gap that you kind of bridge yourself to get that one upgrade earlier than the rest of the comp. And you might be able to do a rookie down, rookie up to a premium if you've got a bit of cash in the bank. So if you can then do a sideways move from Will Day to a Stewart and with your second trade, make a whole bunch of cash.
You're ready.
Hold that. Then you're ready to jump on, some of those guys, especially when DPPs drop.
Yeah.
You're going to have flexibility and you'll be able to move someone to anyone else in the ground. So I still prefer that option than going all the way to the top in terms of a Dawson or a Dacos.
Yeah.
In saying that though, like Dacos, Dawson, I think they are also decent options because I think, especially with Dawson's role, that looks like it's going to continue moving forward. I think they're pretty clear top 3 defenders moving forward. And
sort of the last scenario that we'll talk about is people who only own Doc who have dodged the day bullet. If you only own Doc, then for me it's pretty simple. You're going down to Dacos or Dawson.
I think so.
Unless you felt like the going from Doc all the way down to Stewart could really help you out in some other way or later on.
So if that move, which nets you like, what do we say, 190K or something like that, if that move allows you to do an upgrade with your other trade, then I would again, prefer that.
Tick that off,
and tick that off. If that amount of cash is still not enough to get you to do something that you're comfortable with, then I would just probably go with the Dawson Dacos move, because I think they're very clearly some of the best in their line.
Yeah.
I wanted to throw it over to you.
Yeah.
And you have this decision, and I don't know if it's more just watchability side of things, but Dacos versus Dawson.
Who would I go?
Who are you going? Like, who do we think scores the more out of them moving forward? Because I think they're priced pretty similar. Dawson's a little bit cheaper, about, what's that, 17,000 cheaper. So priced at 100, Dacos priced at 102. What do we think? Who's doing better the rest of the season?
Well, let's say like the rational side of me thinks maybe Dawson's a play. I'm ranked very poorly. I know that everyone has Dacos.
It's very popular.
Could I go Dawson as a ploy to try and climb the rankings potentially? That's the rational part of me.
Yep.
But the emotional part of me thinks, if I don't go to Dacos, is this season just going to get away from me? Collingwood's shit to watch. I complain about it every single episode, and people are probably sick of hearing my complaints.
Well, let's switch it up.
Yeah, so I may as well complain about someone else. So, yeah, it's... At the moment, like I said, I could have both.
Yeah.
Which, is a scenario that I'm very strongly
scenario.
considering.
Yeah.
And that's, maybe that's my opportunity to get a bit of a leg up. We're going to talk a little bit later on about people who are ranked very poorly and what that, what you should be sort of doing or trying to do. But yeah, maybe this is a ticket for me to get back into things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, Dacos is the kind of guy that, he's averaging 114 right now.
Yeah.
I think Dawson's averaging 100, but I think in the last 2 weeks he's changed his role, and we do like defenders that move into the midfield. And I was very keen on him once we saw him move into the midfield, and I was very excited about what he could be doing. Both are tag targets.
Yeah.
I think that it surprised me that Freo went to a Rory Laird with James Aish on the weekend and tagged him for the first half and let Dawson do his thing, because obviously we saw Dawson tear the game apart.
I think with hindsight, they might change that.
Yeah, Dawson is an amazing footballer. The thing that, if I'm trying to present the argument that Dawson scores more than Dacos this season, from here on out, it's Dawson's probably a better tackler. And I think that the tackles provide him with a higher floor than a Dacos. Because keep in mind, Dacos is averaging, 35 touches so far?
It's crazy.
He's scoring well, but he's also playing amazing footy.
Yeah.
And there's just a little part of me that thinks, is that sustainable? Is that level of winning 35 touches, being the guy that breaks the game open every week?
Yeah. Surely,
given time, opposition coaches are going to find a way to reduce his impact on the game, because it's not like he's just getting... He's not getting 35 touches that is meaningless. It's not like he's just getting junk, that's cheap, and he's just doing the things like Tom Mitchell, not to throw shade, but when Tom Mitchell was getting 50 touches, some coaches were just letting him just do his thing because they'd still get up on the end. This is a good side, they're winning, he's being impactful. There's a part of me that still thinks that he's... And maybe this is the optimist that doesn't have him, but...
Everyone that has him is just laughing at us.
I know.
These two clowns.
I still think that he's probably... I think he's 105 plus. I still think at the end of the day, which I would not have said a month ago. I've been proven wrong. I was wrong on him at the start of the year, but it's the price is different now, and Dawson is someone that I still think is very good. I don't think you can really go wrong with either at the end of the day. So if you have a preference, I'd probably just back your gut in there. I wouldn't let ownership dictate it too much at this stage, because you're just trying to pick the guy that you think is going to go better.
It's a tough one. It'll be one that people are sort of flip-flopping over, I think, this week.
Yes.
But I think we maybe didn't talk so much about those mid-price guys that I know a lot of other podcasts have been talking about. Maybe that's just because you and I personally are just not really sold on that, especially some of those guys. They're kind of 1 week ago, 2 week ago options.
Yeah.
But I think, overall we've kind of summarised our thoughts on where you might potentially go in a few different scenarios there as well.
Because the perfect scenario was obviously you had this choice last week where you could have gone to Stewart, but you went to Hunt instead.
Yeah.
And obviously he ended up scoring better. He's made way more cash. Stewart is now cheaper than he was last week. I think that was always the play in this situation, because A lot of people would have jumped on Stewart last week, but he was always going to be still value this week, which is why I think now this is the week, especially with the issues in the backline. He is such a perfect guy to trade in this week. So I think because he is of a similar value to some of those mid-price guys, I'd be directing people to Stewart every day.
Yeah, agree on that one.
Yeah.
Now, just quickly before we duck off, I can't recall who it was, but I saw a tweet a day ago basically saying that some people would like some discussion for those coaches that are ranked sort of 20K plus and feeling like their season's over before it started.
Yeah.
What's the play from here? What do you do? So the reason that I saw it and thought it'd be a great opportunity to talk about it on the podcast is because I'm obviously in that situation, and it's hard
I'm not
to,
far away either.
Just talking to those people out there who are lowly ranked. The toughest thing I think is actually looking at my team and thinking my team doesn't actually look that different from the teams that are ranked 20,000 spots ahead of me. I think that you could just have a couple of things that don't go your way. I had the Jerry in week 1. I had Kelly. I had
you've
LDU,
copped it, man. Honestly,
Wits,
it's been very unlucky. We went through it before.
Captain.
So you had Jerry week 1, then you've had Josh Kelly week 2, then week 3 you had an LDU extremely late out. Then we've got the Jared Witts laid out, and now we've got Doherty and Will Day out. There's 6 players out in 4 rounds.
But the point of this is not woe is me,
No. But I'm just saying that if you're in that situation, I wouldn't. Don't try and feel the need that because of a few unlucky things that haven't gone your way that you need to make really out there. Decisions,
so that's the reason
try and catch up immediately.
Well, that's the reason I wanted to talk about it because there are people in that sort of boat. So that's my thinking as well. Is right now I think the worst thing that you could do would be to start making outlandish decisions because then you'd probably affirm your position as being a bit of a shit coach as well.
Yeah.
I think what my play from here, and hopefully it's one that works out, is just keep trying to make solid decisions.
Yeah.
Keep on that race to trying to get your team filled with
premiums.
premiums.
Because with the luck that you've had, I would still back in the fact that you've made good decisions each week with the trades. Like last week's trades, I would call a success. I know you were upset that you traded Kelly. You traded him to a Tom Green.
Who's going all right.
Who's outscored Kelly since then. Obviously, he had 110 last week. Those trades were all, you've got in English and things like that. So those trades have all made sense because of the carnage that you've copped, and a lot of people that might be in a similar boat have copped as well. Your ranking doesn't reflect, your team status. My advice would be it's a long season. We've got an extra round. We've got an extra bye round this week this year as well. It's still too early, I think, at this stage to be chasing the pods, be chasing those home run picks.
Well, I think swinging for the fences is no good, but I don't mind advocating for somebody who chases a strategic pod. So Holmesy, who we know is an unreal coach, he traded in Crouch, who is a little bit of a pod, but solid Jack Steele's out, and that worked really well for him.
There's reasoning. You went a Hunt, who's obviously considered a pod, but...
so I think you're not swinging for the fences and trading in Jeremy Cameron, who you think is going to be a keeper, or, unless you think that maybe there's some value there that you're going to get. But just don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Try and stay on the grind. And if you're looking at your team thinking, my team doesn't look that different to the top teams, then you're probably onto something. Don't don't be too dejected by the fact that your rank's not great.
Captain choices, maybe you can just, if you wanted to go with someone with a really high upside VC option or something like that, those kind of plays can be ways for you to get back in. Making sure that you're on top of all your rookie roulette sort of stuff is still extremely important. So be on top of your loops. Try to make sure you've got the right rookies on the ground, I think, is also extremely important. And then just attack the upgrade season, because that's where teams are going to get the most different in these next 10, especially with the players like Doherty and those sort of things going down. This is going to create a lot of separation in where people go, and use these, cliches, this creates opportunity, but use these points of divergence to get a leg up on the other competition, because a lot of people are going to be in the same boat. So many people have Doherty.
That's it. And I think at the moment I'm probably 500 points behind the really top guys, and now I'm looking to see that as not 500 points, but 50 points a week over the course of...
It can be done. It can easily be done. I know, obviously, you've thrown some stats out there that I think Jaden Popowski sort of said that, at this point, someone, the highest or lowest ranked coach was 15,000 that won a hat.
Yeah.
But keep in mind, again, like every season's unique. And this season in particular is one round longer. We've got one more bye round. So I would still, if you're ranked, like 30,000, like there's no reason to say that you couldn't come in.
Yeah.
I think it's tighter than ever. Like the difference between 30,000 and
there's a lot of good coaches.
1,000. Like I think
coaches.
it's tighter than ever. There's a lot of good content going out there. So
and keep listening to all that good content as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Just don't be dejected. Make sure that you're listening to all the great podcasts that we have out there. So there's heaps of people in the community that are offering advice. And if you don't win a hat, you can always do what Mitch did and just write a number on a random hat. So.
Yeah, it counts, guys. Make a podcast.
Just move your head a little bit to the left, and we'll all see the 124, Mitchman.
The big 124. Okay, but yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Stress too much about it at this stage. The difference in ownership is just some of those key decisions, like for yourself, going Hayden Young over Nick Dacos, and then all those injuries. Like if those injuries don't happen, you have Nick Dacos. You're top 500 at this stage.
Yeah, it's not necessarily about me, but hopefully that answered the question for the person on Twitter who put that out. And for those people who are struggling a bit with their rank.
I just wanted to find in the top 1,000 how many people actually have a Sam Doherty, and I think it's actually reflecting his. Oh, sorry, no, that's Supercoach.
Tell us about your Supercoach ranking.
Pretty good. Although I do.
What a segue!
I do have Doherty in Supercoach, so yeah, that's not good. But I think Doherty is owned by a grand total of 88% of the top 1,000 coaches. Yeah. So, he's 40%, I think, owned on the site, but a lot of the guys who are up the top there have him.
Yeah.
So he's very, very popular. So don't fret. You're in a crowd of people that also are dealing with the same thing. So will that do us there, man?
Yeah, I think that'll wrap us up.
Emergency podcast.
Yeah. Any other questions? Try and grab us on Twitter or in the comment section of the YouTube video. We try our best to get around to most people, but
we'll go through some more things on Friday live. I think again we might have a slightly weird time on the podcast as well. Let me just check this because I think it's slightly earlier than normal, which is a bit frustrating.
We're having beers again, or?
Absolutely, we're having beers. Yeah, so it's a 5:10 start between Freo and Gold Coast.
Okay.
So they've got the two games on the Friday night this week with a late Richmond-Sydney Swans game. So we'll probably go live again. Lucky that it's happening during the school holidays, so we might go a little bit earlier. But stay tuned on social media for when we do that.
This is the first podcast in a few that we haven't had the beers. I don't know if you can see. I've got the shakes.
You got the withdrawal symptoms, man. I have to set up an AA meeting for us. But thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. Hopefully it all goes well for you guys and everything goes well on Thursday nights and the teams are kind to us because...
Fingers crossed, man.
We need it. All right, but catch you later, guys, and thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys later. Bye.